Every time you try to turn your life around, your brain literally fights you. Not metaphorically, there's an actual physical neurological reason why day 3 feels impossible. Your brain has this thing called homeostatic plasticity. Basically, it has this set point for who you are, your habits, your mood, your whole life.
So you're behaving in a way that contradicts your identity. You're violating your brain's number one rule: stay with the story. You're violating the rule of the brain. So your brain experiences this as danger, exposure. I'm going to get judged. There's a loss of belonging, a loss of predictability. So you have to destroy the old one first.
You've tried. Set the alarm for 5 a.m., downloaded all the apps, made the promise at 2 a.m., alone, exhausted, sick of being the version of you that keeps showing up. For a week, or maybe 2, it worked. You felt like someone new. Then it stopped. The alarm got snoozed. The journal, it disappeared. And you were right back where you started. Except now you had fresh evidence. Proof that you can't follow through, so you pushed it down. Told yourself that you'd try again next week. Went back to grinding while the light inside of you kept slowly going dark. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And that design is working against you. There are 4 locks holding you in place. 4 mechanisms creating a prison so seamless that you don't even know you're inside. Let me show you. The first lock is your neuroplasticity threshold. You've heard the promise. Your brain can change. Neuroplasticity, all true. None of it tells you what actually matters. Researchers at University College of London found it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit. But the range was 18 to 254 days. Some people locked in behavior in 3 weeks. Others took 8 months. Why? Your brain has already carved deep pathways for your existing patterns. The way you cope with stress, the way you numb out. These grooves are decades deep. Your basal ganglia has marked these patterns as efficient. Every time you try something new, you're building a road while the highway is right there. This is why the first 2 weeks feel like war. Chronic stress, the kind that comes from being the one that everyone leans on, floods your system with cortisol. And cortisol actively inhibits neuroplasticity. The very thing that would let you change gets suppressed by the weight you've been told to carry silently. You're told to push through, man up. Nobody mentioned that you were fighting uphill. The second lock is your identity.
So there's 3 mechanisms that change identity fast, especially if you're manipulating another person: embarrassment, disgust, and aversion. Those 3 things you can change an identity. But we're doing it to ourselves. So we stop forever for the rest of your life. Stop saying, I'm working on myself or I'm trying to change, and start being disgusted with that other version of yourself. Absolutely nauseated, disgusted. You always repeat the phrase, that version is beneath me. That behavior is unbelievably embarrassing. That behavior is disgusting. That thought process is disgusting. I don't recognize myself when I act like that. And then we're going to employ another tactic that narcissists use and cults use on ourselves. And this one is shame. Shame is a fast controller of human behavior. Uncontrolled shame is destructive. Targeted shame, if it's aimed at a specific behavior or an identity pattern, is one of the fastest ways to change. The reason for this is because shame is a social survival signal. It tells the mammalian brain, this behavior threatens my standing. And standing, or reputation, matters more than comfort every single time. That's why people change instantly. Instantly. You've seen it before in your life, I guarantee it. If continuing your old behavior feels comfortable, then you haven't killed the identity yet.
Researchers at the Journal of Consumer Research tested 2 groups resisting temptation. One group said, I can't when tempted. The other said, I don't. The I don't group made healthier choices at nearly twice the rate. I can't is a restriction. I don't is identity. No fight required. Your brain watches your behavior to figure out who you are. Psychologist Daryl Bem called this self-perception theory. Now think about what you've been watching yourself do. Every broken promise, every false start. Your brain filed all of it, and it built an identity out of the wreckage. For men, this cuts to the bone. Your sense of self is wrapped in being capable, reliable. So when you fail privately, repeatedly, you're confronting evidence that the man that everyone depends on can't even depend on himself. Your brain would rather be consistent than happy. It will sabotage your progress just to keep you aligned with who it believes you are. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. The third lock is your survival brain. In 1995, psychologist Daniel Goleman named something that had been running man's life forever: amygdala hijack. Your amygdala processes threats. Ancient, fast, and it doesn't care about your 5-year plan. When it detects danger, it triggers a stress response before your rational brain registers what's happening. Your amygdala doesn't distinguish physical threats or psychological risks between a predator and the possibility of failing publicly.
When you try to change, your brain thinks you're in danger. It floods you with discomfort, anxiety, doubt, anything to pull you back towards familiar. That voice saying, "This isn't you," or "You'll fail like last time." That's your anterior cingulate cortex. It's your conflict detector, literally creating pain to stop you from changing. Physical, measurable pain. Studies have shown brain scans of people having the same regions light up as when a bone breaks. But here's what nobody tells you. That resistance is actually the signal that you're doing it right. Your brain only fights changes that will stick. It doesn't resist you eating one salad. It resists you becoming someone who eats salads. The hack for this is stupidly simple. Change one thing so your brain doesn't detect threat. I started with making my bed. That's it. Your brain can't fight person who makes bed. But after 30 days, that becomes your new normal. Then you add something else, tiny. 6 months later, you're unrecognizable. But your brain never panicked because you snuck past its defenses. You didn't turn your life around. You evolved it, one neuron at a time. What's the tiny thing you could change that your brain won't fight? Seriously, think smaller. Even smaller than that.
Change registers as danger. Unfamiliar registers as unsafe. You were trained to override fear, push through, man up, but the fear, it didn't leave. You just lost access to the signal. Now it shows up in ways that you don't even recognize. The tightness before a conversation you keep postponing. The heaviness on Sunday nights. The procrastinations on the things that would actually change your life. You call it laziness, lack of discipline, but it's your survival brain slamming the brakes. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux was blunt. Once the emotional brain learns something is threatening, it never fully lets go. You can train your higher brain to override it, but the alarm stays installed. You can know the risk is worth it and still feel your body refuse. That's architecture. The fourth lock is your pain threshold. Psychologists Kahneman and Tversky won the Nobel Prize for proving we are twice as motivated to avoid loss than we are to pursue gain. The pain of staying the same has to outweigh the pain of transformation before the move. William James called this the misery threshold in 1902, and men have been trained to set theirs dangerously high. Endure, absorb, don't complain, which sounds like strength until you realize what it means. You can stay in a job that's hollowing you out for a decade. Watch your health decline and call it aging. Feel your marriage become a roommate situation. Your tolerance becomes your trap. You've probably heard of rock bottom. It's a myth. Research on recovery shows that there's no magic in catastrophe. Most people transform when the accumulated weight of ordinary pain finally tips the scale that they didn't know existed. But you've been trained to ignore that math, to say, at least I'm not. You're not okay. You just got good at pretending. 4 locks, 4 mechanisms, each one invisible. Your neuroplasticity threshold makes change exhausting. Your identity makes it feel like self-betrayal. Your survival brain makes it feel dangerous. Your pain threshold hasn't been crossed because you've been trained to endure things that you should have refused years ago. This is why peace feels like something behind a wall that you can't climb. But these locks, they have keys. The first key, pain has to exceed fear, not rock bottom. You don't have to lose everything, but you do have to stop lying about what your current path is costing you. Not the story you tell others, the actual cost. Measured in your body, your marriage, the version of your kid's childhood that you're actually present for. Most men never do this math honestly. They minimize, they rationalize. But the truth is, the only thing heavy enough to tip the scale.
The thing that you need to do here is shrink the task until completion is absolutely guaranteed. You introduce these little measurable wins, and you remove all novelty drains from your life, except for the ones that you create yourself. I'm talking about like doom scrolling and stuff like that. If discipline collapses the moment you have some kind of stress, this is likely serotonin instability, poor sleep. The fix here is just behavioral routines at fixed times and eliminate choices during any high stress period. If you're the type who avoids hard stuff, this is norepinephrine, threat sensitivity, learned helplessness. You need short, controlled exposure to discomfort if this is you. So this could be super cold water, like taking a cold shower in the morning. I personally prefer James Bond showers, is what I call them. I start off with a hot shower and just kind of gradually turn that thing down as I'm getting through. So if you're the type that starts strong and fades out, the likely causes of this is novelty-driven dopamine. And what you're lacking is ritual. And I just want you to maybe write this down if it's necessary.
What has staying the same cost you in years, in health? Feel it. Stop numbing it. That's the first key. The second key, identity has to shift before behavior follows. You can't discipline yourself unto a new life while your brain still believes that you're the guy who always quits. The brain works in reverse. Identity first, behavior follows. You have to decide before you have proof that you're someone different now. I don't instead of I can't as a declaration. I don't hit snooze. I don't abandon myself. I don't break promises to myself. This will feel like lying at first. Let it talk. Act anyway. Identity isn't built by what you feel. It's built by what you do repeatedly when you feel like doing the opposite. The man you want to be is built by the man you're willing to become before it feels true. The third key, your nervous system has to feel safe enough to let go. This is the key men skip. They white knuckle through change, running on cortisol in self-contempt, then wonder why they collapse. You can't fight your way to peace. You cannot hate yourself into healing. Your nervous system has to believe change won't destroy you. That unfamiliar doesn't mean unsafe. This happens through small kept promises, through rest you haven't earned, through moving slow enough that your body can integrate. Most men have spent decades overriding their body's signals. Your body kept the score while you kept grinding. Now you need it to trust you again. That takes time, a gentleness you were never taught, treating yourself like someone worth protecting. The fourth key, repetition has to cross the threshold. 66 days, maybe more. Consistent, unglamorous repetition until the new path runs deeper than the old one. Not until you feel motivated. Motivation is a visitor, not a resident. Not until it gets easy. Easy comes after the threshold, not before. Until the brain physically changes. until your basal ganglia stops fighting you. This is where most men quit. The sign that it's working comes after, way long after. Keep going anyway. Remember that alarm? The one that you set at 2 a.m. full of desperate hope? It was never going to work because you were trying to change behavior without understanding the architecture. 4 locks, 4 keys. Pain exceeds fear. Identity shifts first. Nervous system comes with you. Repetition crosses the threshold. None of it fast. None of it comfortable. All of it true. You were never the problem. Your brain was doing what brains do, protecting, conserving, surviving. But protection isn't peace and survival isn't living. You don't owe the world a transition. You don't need to become someone new to deserve rest. But if you want it, if you've been locked outside your own life, wondering why you can't walk through the door, now you know where the locks are. The man you keep abandoning is still there. He's still waiting for you to understand what's required. And the man you were supposed to be, he's not behind you. He's still ahead. Closer than you think. It's been your girl Rene here. I'll see you guys in my next video.